Hi everybody, my name is Debox, a wizard. That's an interesting introduction. I'm not sure I'd describe myself as that anyway. So I'm going to talk to you today about what I consider to be the scourge for us human beings. And I'll come to that in just a second. But for now, just by a show of hands, in the last few days, may even be a week or so, who's pissed you off? A show of hands. Maybe you felt a bit angry at something someone said, an experience, in fact you got defensive, felt a bit jealous, insecure. Only a few hands, there's a lot of liars in this room. I spent time learning, I know more than you. Good. As you're going to find out, the fact that you're having an emotional reaction is a really great thing. And the negative one, the more negative, the better. So as I said earlier, the scourge for us human beings. What do I mean by shame? It's those feelings of not being good enough, of not being worthy, the feelings of inadequacy. And what it does is, it stops us from being our true selves. We think we're being real, and we're told all the time, just be you. And then we walk around, but actually we're hiding in broad daylight. We create these personas so we can be accepted by people and they'll like us. We'll be with that crowd, and they won't judge us. And shame also has a dark side. Sounds a bit like Star Wars, doesn't it? And basically, you've got insecurities and inadequacies, jealousies, all of these negative emotional reactions. And they lead to different behaviours. Anger, abusive behaviour. And of course, to numb this stuff down because we can't deal with it, addictions, to calm everything down and push it away. And so over the last few years, although my journey began back in 2003 really, it's been built on three pillars, and the three lead to the fourth. And self-awareness, and I know everybody's going to hear this a lot more, there's a great social media guy called Gary Vaynerchuk who does loads on this in the business world. But what I'm talking about here is more emotional self-awareness. So start to notice when you have an emotional reaction to someone or something, it's negative. It might be small. Tears at a movie. Yeah? If you cry at movies, by the way, this is rock star stuff for you in a second. So you're going to become aware of your emotional reactions to daily events, people, and experiences. The second is self-acceptance. You know what? I'm an arsehole. So are you. And it's okay. We're selfish in many ways. So self-acceptance is really about accepting where you are right now. Because wherever you are, it's perfectly all right. And then leading to self-cultivation, and I nicked this. Sorry, I borrowed this. Nicked this, I'm definitely Essex, aren't I? I borrowed this from Shannon Lee, the daughter of Bruce Lee. Kudos for the slide, anyway. I'm going to follow that up in a second. But cultivation is different to development. I know the personal development thing is a huge thing. Ironically, for a lot of people not very developed, which is always amusing. But self-cultivation is different, because what we're going to look to do is we're going to look to take out the unconscious root cause of your struggles. And by taking out the roots, what we're actually left with is a new fertile ground where you can plant new positive things. So cultivation is important for me. And of course, when you do these three things and do some of the stuff I'm going to talk about today, it will lead naturally to more self-confidence. Yes, that is me. Wearing my son's chemistry mask that he didn't know about, but he will when he sees this video. So if we go back to the beginning of 2014, I was just about to launch into a marketing agency for home business owners. So I had some staff in place, I had some money in place, some investors in place. And off I went, I built all the foundations, but what happened was I hit this kind of block. I wasn't then communicating with the team properly, I wasn't delivering the information, I wasn't doing the things that I should do. It kind of felt like invisible shackles pulling me back. What happened was that I'd never gone to anything that big before, and it exposed my self-doubt. It exposed all the elements of me where I didn't truly believe that I could do it. I started to question whether I had the ability, was I good enough? And it wasn't something I can manually override, it was deeper than that. And so, after the money's run out, I phoned my wife, sat just here, and I'm like, okay, I can't come home. I'm crashing. I do not want the children to see me like this. So after a talk with a friend, I then put out an SOS to a therapist I've done a lot of work with over the years. Fortunately for me, I didn't have to wait for days or even weeks before I could speak with her. So let's jump on a Skype video call in about 4 hours, which was a Monday evening about 7 o'clock. So I jump on, she talks to me, and says, what's happened? It's here. I'm shutting down, I can't cope. Anyway, we talk a little bit more, and then she kind of does some things, and it kind of creates this emotional experience, and I kind of feel this welling up, and suddenly this outpouring. In this instance, this release was through really intense sobbing. So I stayed there and I had 4 of these experiences over the next hour. And going from a near breakdown, within an hour I could function. I felt okay. A bit raw, but I was okay. So we go home, see the kids put them to bed, and I sleep really well that night. And the following day, I'm not feeling too bad. By the second day, I'm actually feeling happy. I'm like, fuck. What's that about? Within 2 days. Bear in mind, this is months of build-up for this crash, of not sleeping, of struggling. And suddenly it's gone in an hour. That's crazy shit. And then it reminded me that when I first started therapy, which was some 8 years before I had some therapy, well, actually I had a lot of therapy, about 300 sessions if I'm honest, but let's talk about it. So we go back, and I had this experience of psychotherapy and hypnotherapy, and we went back in time, and it took weeks to get to this one issue, but then I remember going into a room in this hypnosis, there's my 7-year-old self, hello, how are you? Have a seat, what's wrong? You should know. But I didn't know. Anyway, the 7-year-old self tells me, and I have this emotional release, that there was anger around a person at that time in my life, at that age. Now, when I had this experience, bear in mind I would have been there in 36, 37, I had this emotional release, this same thing, what I call deboxing. I'm going to get to that in a second. And the anger towards that person vanished. And it's still in place today. No anger towards that individual, but something that happened when I was a child. So what I started to think about here is this is really sound therapeutic foundations here. But it left me with 3 questions. What would have happened if that therapist couldn't have seen me within a few hours that day? I was in trouble. And sometimes I may have had to wait days or weeks. What would have happened? Secondly, being the curious devil that I am, how can I actually go about finding out the things that are affecting me? Because I'm sure many of you know about the unconscious mind and its vast stores. Well, we're affected by so much that's hidden away from us. How can I find that stuff that's out of view? And then more importantly, how can I remove it by myself? Effectively, how can I create a professional result without the need for a professional? And how can I make it quicker? Because I found a way. I'm not telling you. Kudos for the Bruce Lee again. So Bruce Lee is a huge influence on me. And back in 2003, in Thailand with my wife, I was reading a book by John Little called The Warrior Within. And it was about Bruce Lee's philosophies. And it was the first time that it was the biggest paradigm shift. And suddenly, geez, I can actually change the way I deal with things. I can kind of change the way things work. I have more responsibility for my life than I kind of realized. But what Bruce Lee developed was a fighting system called jeet. And in short, what it was about using your own natural abilities, creating a form that was suitable for you to win the fight quickly. No fancy moves, no wasted energy. It was about direct, boom, 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 done, fight. And what he says here, it's not the daily increase, but the decrease. Hack away the unessential. And the unessential to me is everything that's stored in the unconscious part of our mind that carries on affecting us without us knowing. And I wish I could do a thick Cantonese accent right now, because it sounds so much better when he says it. But don't think, feel. And it's very much about getting out of the thought process and just going with feel. And that was very much about the martial arts that he was about as well. And it's the same for what we do with trying to figure out our problems, our emotional struggles. We try and work out what the problem is. When actually your emotions are a direct line, figure it out later. Follow the emotion first. So, I'm going to tell you what I call a box. And the reason I call it a box is because psychology really confuses me. And I'm a simple lad and I like it kept simple. So a box in essence is an emotional event or experience from your past that could be a huge event. It could be your parents divorcing, it could be the loss of a loved one, the death of a family member. It can also be a throwaway comment from a parent or somebody at school or being bullied. But all of these events, tiny as they may seem, go into the unconscious part of your brain, and what I say are stored in a box. The thing is now, and psychologists actually agree on this a great deal, up to 90% of your emotional reactions are linked to your past events and past traumas and past experiences. And of course, when one of these boxes gets hit, we can have an outrageous reaction. By a show of hands, and I'll know if you're lying, who's had, they've overreacted to a seemingly innocent event, or a friend that's overreacted? Yeah. Jack, it's hit in a box, and you can't necessarily figure it out. It seems so simple, and it seems so unimportant that suddenly this reaction is bigger than you. You can't just manage it down. And so I liken the mind, the unconscious part of the mind, to make it simple for how I felt it, is like corridors, cupboards, and boxes. So you've got corridors, and there'll be different floors, and then in each cupboard are associated boxes full of those experiences, those events. Those little throwaway comments that seemed nothing but actually turned out to be a massive deal that affected your self-confidence later on in life. And deboxing, for the last 3 years, I've been Dr. David Banner with this. Kind of, I don't know if anyone will remember that actually. So deboxing is a way that I've discovered that untaps your own natural ability to remove the root cause of your emotional struggle. Another way to put it is that it's a way that we've all naturally got, amazingly, to psychologically self-heal. So during the course of the last few years, I've kind of put it into a process that we can start to use. I'm going to quickly run through this. So the real acronym, REACT, start to notice your negative emotional reactions to people and events, no matter how small. Just start to notice it. Expect it to be a box. Expect it to be linked to something in your unconscious. If you don't do that, then you can't get what you deny is there. You have to assume it's there. And then just accept that that is the case, and where you are is where you are. And also, don't beat yourself up. Your reaction may be bad. You may have to admit that you're being selfish, or you're being an arsehole. But it's okay, just accept it, because when you go the other way to what everyone else teaches and you amplify the emotional reaction, what you'll do if you stay with it long enough, you actually let it go. And when you go through the process, like I did with that first event, when I had the near breakdown, those 4 big emotional releases, they didn't just save me from having that breakdown, they actually got rid of the root cause of a lot of that trouble. So this is my son, and I was about to pass on a fear of heights to him whilst on holiday last year. Now, as a parent, when you're about to pass on some of your crap to your kids, it's not a nice feeling. Now, I kind of experimented quickly with this, and actually I was able to pop the box and get rid of my fear of heights. I reduced it by about 90% in less than 20 minutes. Now, the important thing is, now I didn't pass that on to my son, but that's not the only thing you can pass on. All of this other stuff that we carry can pass on to our children. So actually, I say, if you don't do it for yourself, start doing it for your children, because even though you think that you're not passing on that stuff, you are, because it's hidden from view. Now, has anybody seen the Hans Rosling TED Talk on stats? Yeah, very entertaining considering it's on maths and stats. But anyway, I could never do justice to how he delivered this, so I thought, well, I'll keep it simple. But I was kind of thinking about the concept of people starting to take on a new philosophy of emotional awareness and emotional self-reliance and getting rid of their emotional baggage. So shame becomes less of an issue and everything else grows. And I thought, just 15 of you in this room today, just 15, that take on this philosophy and think, you know what, I like the sound of that stuff. And you just positively affect or influence 2 people a year from here on in, which is not a lot of people. I worked out that within 26 years we would hit 1 billion people that have had a shift in consciousness, where suddenly they're not blaming everybody else because you upset me. They start taking some emotional responsibility. And even if it's half that, I mean, even in 50 years, to have 1 billion people that have had that shift is amazing. That'd be great if it's 26, because I'll be alive to see some of that. 50 years, I've got no chance of that. So your boxes, your emotional baggage boxes, cause a wide range of things. Jealous acts, domestic abuse, road rage, addictions, phobias, anxiety. And has anybody suffered with anxiety? I mean, you're all studying hard and doing great things. Anxiety has become part of that. Stress, depressions, and panic attacks. But what reduces in the wake of that is happiness is less. Yeah? Your parenting is worse. Relationships struggle. Work, business, and success become a lot harder. But when you start to remove the cause of your emotional struggle, when you start to debox, as I call it, you start to reduce all of the negative and leave more room for the positive. And all these things are getting their ass kicked right now just because you made the decision to become emotionally self-reliant. Now, I got the email from the lovely Dana to say that I've been accepted to do this TED Talk. Now, I am not a natural speaker. In fact, that for me has been one of the really big struggles. A lot of my friends think I'm an extrovert, but actually it's just not true. So it turned out that that acceptance email was a really, really good laxative for quite a few days. And so, having lost about a stone in 3 days, which was a fantastic quick diet, what I actually assessed was that I had 30% excitement and about 70% fear. Yeah? Am I good enough to come and stand before you? Am I enough to come and speak? There's great speakers here with great knowledge. Heck, there's people with letters after their name. If I had letters after my name, it would spell a swear word. So all of that doubt, all of that feeling of inadequacy was absolutely prevalent. So I thought, well, let's just go through some Debox philosophy, put it to the test. So I did. I'm in my kitchen and I would imagine coming out and I've got my talk and you welcome me with open arms and nice rapturous applause, and I felt this emotional reaction and moved. And so I stayed with the feeling, I focus, I amplify, contradicting what they teach you to do, and I suddenly get this anxiety, turns into a little bit of tears, boom, it's gone. And I practice these different things, and then I'm practicing the ending. And I imagine different endings, and I imagine you get a standing ovation. I'm not saying you should do that. NLP. But I imagine a standing ovation, and that really got me choked, because of course, when somebody really appreciates something, then you're kind of like, oh my God, was it really all right? Because you've got that self-doubt. So again, I had another Debox opportunity and some emotional release, done. Then I imagined you all just sitting there like this. You didn't say a word, you just stared at me in silence. And I finished, I'm all done, thank you. And of course the anxiety that was here, I stayed with the feeling, I amplified and just passing through. I didn't judge it, I didn't try and figure out what it was, I just stayed with the feeling and made it bigger, and it naturally lets go. And then, just to try and finish up on this bit, I imagined you booing me. You nasty bastards. Why would you do that? Anyway, but again, more anxiety, so I stayed in amplified and I let go. So now I think about this event, I imagine the hall like this, imagine your faces, and I feel okay. And I go out to dinner last Sunday with my in-laws, and my wife says to her parents, oh, Jay's speaking at that hall, you know the big hall at King's College where I picked up my qualification for midwifery when I was here. And I'm like this, in my head I'm like, what hall? The big hall, what, the home's thousands? I'm not ready for that. This anxiety suddenly went. So, I've got some revisiting to do. So now I imagine I'm all the same time walking out into the O2. run just in case. So I walked out of the hotel and I did all the same scenarios, but all the feelings were the same. And then it passed, I get this calm afterwards. And now the biggest question for me was, what happened when I got here? Was all the anxiety gone? No. But it was hugely reduced. So we go from a 70% anxiety and a 30% excitement to an 80% excitement and a 20% anxiety. Now, can I get to the rest of that and remove it completely? I don't know. Maybe that's just part of my inherent core nature. I'm a little bit anxious. I don't know. But isn't that interesting that before I would have run for the hills and now it's not big enough to stop me coming to speak to you? Now, the Black Eyed Peas have just re-released one of their hit records. I love a bit of hip-hop. Even though I'm over 40, it's okay. And their great song, Where is the Love? And I think that's a great question. Where is the love? And I tell you what, it's hidden under shame. And Brené Brown closed out her fantastic TED talk on shame by saying that she felt that the antidote to shame and guilt was empathy and compassion. And I want to take that a step further. I believe the antidote to shame and guilt is deboxing. And when you debox, you are naturally left with more empathy, more compassion, more acceptance, and more love. And that, I think, is an idea worth spreading. And I'm going to be spreading this idea to the day I die. You can join me. I'd love to have you come with me. And that's what